the beheading of John the Baptist. This is one of the saddest stories in the entire Life of Christ series. But it was a significant event in the life of Christ. John and Jesus were not only cousins, but they were both a part of the prophecies concerning the coming of Messiah. But also, both John and Jesus were to die a cruel death. When Jesus heard about John's death, he went away with his disciples to a place where they could be alone and Jesus could teach his disciples. Well, at that retreat, Jesus fed 5,000 people, prayed all night, walked on water during the night, and taught the people the next morning. Now, the actual learning of the story is not that difficult. The key here in this story is to get everything placed in your mind, the movements back and forth between places. It doesn't happen over a large geographical area, but you have to, in your mind, place things. Where does Herod live? Where is John preaching? Place in your mind the dungeon where Herod puts John. And then where is the banquet held? Where is Herod's wife staying because the daughter goes to her and asks for advice? Where do they bury John? Place all this in your mind and then simply move from one to the other. If you're learning this as a group, walk through it. Just walk through the events and the placement. As far as a storyboard, there's not much of a storyboard, only something to help you to keep in mind the flow of the story. As all storyboards, you may want to add to this different parts that I don't deal with. And like most storyboards, this may be too much. You don't need this much. Let's get right into it. Put your wrists together like you are being tied. So this is John in prison. John's in prison. Why? And then bring your hand down, long hair. John's in prison so that Herod could attempt to keep his wife happy and then kind of smile. Keep his wife happy. Why? Because John preached. It's not right that you should marry your brother's wife. John's in prison so Herod could keep his wife happy because he preached against their marriage. Now with your finger out, bring it on across. She wanted him dead. But Herod knew that John was a righteous man. The people considered him a prophet. Besides, Herod liked hearing him preach. Let's just go through that. John's in prison so that Herod could keep his wife happy because he preached against their marriage. She wanted him dead. But Herod knew that he was a righteous man. The people considered him a prophet. Besides, he liked hearing John preach. Now, Herod had a big banquet, just kind of a big banquet, and invited lots of people. And his wife's daughter danced for them. This pleased Herod, and he promised her anything, up to half his kingdom. Okay? Let's go back. She wanted him dead, but Herod knew that he was a righteous man. People thought he was a prophet. Herod liked to hear him preach. Big banquet, invited lots of important people, and Herod's wife's daughter danced. Pleased Herod, and he promised anything. So she went to get advice. Her mother told her, ask for the head of John the Baptist. This surprised Herod, but he looked around. He had promised this in front of a lot of important people. So he beheaded John. The disciples came and got the body and buried it and went and told Jesus. Quickly, let's just go through that. John's in prison so that Herod could try to keep his wife happy, because he preached against their marriage and she wanted him dead. But Herod knew that he was a righteous man and that the people thought he was a prophet. And Herod liked to hear him preach. He had a big party, invited a lot of important people. The daughter danced, and Herod was pleased, promised her anything. She went to get advice, asked for the head of John the Baptist. Herod was surprised, but he had promised lots of people. So he had John beheaded. Disciples came and got the body, buried it, and went and told Jesus. Now your hand away from your mouth like this, just go right back to the ear. Went and told Jesus. Herod later on heard about Jesus, and this brought conviction to his heart because he had killed John. So he asked, who is this person? Kind of go out from your mouth. Who is this person? So go back. He heard about Jesus, brought conviction. Who is this person? They said, many think that he's one of the old prophets. But Herod knew better. He had killed John. Now he's raised from the dead with great power. From then on, he wanted to talk to Jesus. He wanted to talk to Jesus, but when he had a chance, Jesus would not talk to him. Okay, let's go through the whole thing from start to finish. We have John in prison to try to help Herod keep his wife happy, kind of smile, because he preached against their marriage. She wanted him dead. But Herod knew that he was a righteous man, and the people thought he was a prophet. Besides, he liked to hear him preach. He had a big banquet, invited important people. Daughter danced, pleased Herod. What do you want? So she went to get advice, asked for the head of John the Baptist. This startled Herod, but he had promised in front of a lot of people. So he beheaded John. Disciples came, took his body, buried it, and went and told Jesus. Herod heard about things that Jesus did, brought conviction to his heart. He asked, who is this person? Some say he's one of the old prophets. Herod knew differently. And because he had killed Jesus, now he's raised from the dead with great power. From then on, he wanted to talk to Jesus. Okay, go through the storyboard, place everything in your mind, go through the storyboard, learn it, draw it out, then stumble through the story. It's an important story in the life of Christ. The Lord bless you.